Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
So, hello everyone. I am Varsha Gujar along with my co-host Anisha Sahu. And here we are with ESL NIT Rourkela podcast. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you deep conversations with the mind shaping the future of business, technology, and innovations.
So today's guest has spent over 25 years driving innovation at the crossroad of tech, strategy, and startups. From early roles at TCS and OpenText to advising Fortune 100 clients at Booz Allen Hamilton on billion-dollar strategies to leading venture investments at eVentures India, his journey is nothing short of global. He is co-founder and head of business development Herald Logic, a startup from IIT Bombay led as Senior Manager Kanbay, acquired by Capgemini, and now serves as founder and director of Attagis Solution, providing global software services, technology market research, and management consulting, and is also Supermentor at Padup Ventures.
Beyond that, he has been a management consultant at Booz Allen US, helping companies scale, raise funds, and enter new markets. Prior to that, he was also a software engineer and QA engineer. I'm thrilled to welcome to the podcast Mr. Yogesh Pathak, sir, founder of Attagis Solution, global strategy consultant and startup advisor.
So, before we dive into your recent work, sir, let's rewind to your early academic journey. You have studied computer science, engineering, and finance across top institutions like Georgia Tech and Michigan State. You even took a break in 2006 to study environmental system and India's natural ecosystem. That's a very rare in a tech career. So, how did that experience shape your view or impact sustainability or maybe even leadership?
So, Anisha and Varsha, thank you very much for having me here. I'm really delighted to be talking to your audience. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so to answer your question, I have been a generalist at heart. I always loved science, engineering, and humanities equally. And my beginnings in computer science made me comfortable in playing a role in the global tech sector. And it allowed me to wear a variety of hats like software engineer, QA engineer, line manager, strategic planner, market researcher, and so on. But all of them linked to the technology sector. And then moving further, I reason I did an MBA degree because I was fascinated by the world of finance and how dynamic it was. India had just opened up in 1991, if you remember, due to liberalization policies, and I was a graduate in 1992. So I was observing how our country was opening its doors and markets and investment opportunities for the rest of the world for collaboration. So consulting as a field and the impact you could have at even as a junior level consultant was really interesting, and that is why I did consulting in the initial years. And returning to India was another interesting thing that I was planning on because I thought I will have a more fulfilling career here and even be closer to my family. After that, it has been a general management career with a strong bias to technology and globalization. Given that my generalist nature, even as a professional, even now, I have kept studying things like history, geography, anthropology, economics, population science, and eventually I studied environmentalism as well. So what I am today is basically a product of my learning, like every man is. So yeah, so that's how I can answer your question. Does that help?
Sir, can you please tell us that how we start a startup from scratch and what challenges we face and how we deal with the challenges?
Okay, sure. So, when you observe the world around you with a conscious mind, ideas will start coming to you. That is the first thing. Secondly, you yourself go through a lot of experiences, and some of them, have we experience pain in a lot of situations. Sometimes it is personal situations, sometimes it is professional situations, sometimes when we are traveling we experience problems and so forth. So you will see a lot of broken processes and other problems and pain points that could possibly be resolved through new technology or new processes, new ways of doing collaboration, right? The simply an open mind and keen observation and a develop of passion will lead to good ideas. So ideas, like they say, is dime a dozen. So ideas, many of us can generate good ideas. However, ideas alone are not enough. Primary market research, which means actual customer feedback on those pain points or problems, is very, very important to collect. uh, where your idea fits in the end user's day, in their journey, and how they might actually benefit once your idea is implemented. You need to be very clearly able to articulate that. Okay, that is the first thing. Before these two things, like before a solid idea and before solid primary market research, one really shouldn't even get thinking about doing a startup. Once you have solid fact-based data that this idea is good and it actually solves a primary, a customer problem, that is when you get into it. uh, your question was what challenges we face and how to deal with the challenges, but before that I'll kind of continue on that and say that once you have the idea and solid research, next thing is to work on is your solution and founders. So the next piece is about co-founders and solution. You can always go as a solo founder, like I have currently gone in my current company, but you can also build companies together as typically teams of 2 to 4 people, right? Where your capabilities should be complementary to each other ideally, and you should be ready for a lot of intellectual debate, a lot of differences, reconciliation of those differences, all in the interest of the growth of the company, and so forth. So startups won't grow if everybody has the same consensus. There should always be some debate on all the issues, strategy as well as operations. So after that, the startup can really start. Then your next decision is whether to continue bootstrapped way without funding on your own resources, like have some profit and then invest back that profit in the business and grow the startup gradually, or you start getting funding from the outside entities like angel investors first, then seed funds, then entry level venture funds, and so on. So there are again these two paths, and India being a very diverse, economic landscape, you will see that you have a lot of bootstrap companies in India that became really big, and you have a lot of good invested companies as well. So that is really how you start a startup. There will be ups and downs, of course, but you need patience as well as resilience and a lot of empathy about your staff, your co-founders, your customers, because they are also going through the same challenges that you are. So these qualities are important. Integrity is extremely important in startups. You will have challenges typically when your product doesn't do well, product market fit doesn't come out as you anticipated, and in those situations you got to go back to the drawing board and see how you could build a better product that actually helps solve the customer problem. You may do a good product, but then you would have a lot of competition, including large companies. So there is no cookie cutter formula for that. You have to really find out what is the solution in your case, what are the resources you have, and based on those resources how you could dynamically build a strategy that leverages on your unique experience and your unique understanding that your competitors cannot have, that your competitors cannot do, which is essentially called as competitive advantage. And you gradually start building that competitive advantage and you never go away from that. uh, and that is a way to survive against, let's say, brutal competition. And then there are a lot of learnings along the way, including managing talent, figuring out your pricing for your product, figuring out your long-term product roadmap, your marketing strategy, your finance and HR processes. It just doesn't end. Okay, so There is no easy answer, frankly, but once the journey starts, one has to be patient and resilient to go through the challenges. That is all I can say.
Really, sir, that's such a unique blend of technical and human insight. Clearly, that time shaped not just your perspective but your purpose too. Sir, has you started your career at Booz Allen US in management consulting, working on high impact strategy projects for Fortune 100 companies? How was that work and what was the turning point that pushed you to leave the US corporate world and take the leap into returning to India in a VC firm?
Okay, great question. It has been so many years since I did those decisions, so it is very interesting to reflect on those decisions now. So, thanks for asking. So, Booz Allen at that time was a top five strategy consulting firm in the US. It worked closely with various departments and agencies of the US government and several other governments because it had a very large government business. And it also worked at the CXO level with many Fortune 500 companies. The work was almost always was strategic advice like growth opportunities, business plans for new divisions, go or no go decisions on large investments, etc. It was very intense, very long days, a lot of primary and secondary market research, financial modeling using Excel, and finally presenting the findings to senior managements and boards. It is said that you learn in consulting in 1 year what you learn in other jobs in 3 years, and I can vouch that it is true. This prepared me for virtually any business career anywhere in the world. So just to give an example, in a very interesting project, I built a financial model for running a semiconductor fab in a matter of weeks over 10 or 20-year projections, and I had to take a whole bunch of inputs because I was not exposed to that business earlier, and I had to research a lot entirely on my own as to what goes into building a fab that produces semiconductors and display products. So huge amount of learning in a very short period of time. So what happened was I was very happy doing that. But in 99 2000, the internet was taking over the world, and business opportunities, new business models around it were being explored for the first time. As a result, a lot of talented people were attracted to internet companies and VCs or investment banks who invested in such companies. In my case, in addition, there was the added urge of returning to India and explore, how I could participate in the changing business landscape here, which was far different than the pre-liberalization days. Like I said earlier, it was opening up very fast. Thankfully, I got such an opportunity with a firm called E-Ventures India in Mumbai and New York. I really did not want to pass up this unique opportunity. And for those couple of years, I also worked with an outstanding set of people, and we are still in close touch. Yeah, so that's
Okay, sir.
how I came back. Yeah.
Sir, what can you tell us about the early startups your company funded and the lessons you learned?
Oh, sure. So from I may not remember all the details because it has been so many years, but our fund was probably among the first five real VC funds to start in India, and this means there was a lot of learning for investors as well as entrepreneurs. We invested in several consumer-centric internet ventures, one of whom is Make My Trip, and it is doing extremely well. While some other companies didn't do so well, and that is very normal for VC portfolio. I was personally involved in a data center company called NetMagic. They were building India's first world-class private data center in India, internet data center in India. It was in Mumbai. I was also involved in Intigma, which built content management technology using classification techniques and other AI techniques prevalent at that time. Both these companies underwent, successful acquisitions later. From investment transactions to office space, to hiring management teams, we were available to help our ventures on virtually anything. At that, yeah, there was a lot of learning from ventures that did well as well as the ones who didn't do well. But eventually, the downturn hit in 2002, and we started assisting those companies for fundraising. So overall, it was a very fulfilling journey, and it was a way to contribute to our startup ecosystem in the early days, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that shift from advising or investing to actually building must have come with a whole new set of challenges and
Yeah,
also freedoms.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's very inspiring to hear how you embrace the uncertainty and trusted your visions. My next question would be, your first startup was Herald Logic, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
dipping into the role of co-founder compared to your previous roles as a consultant or advisor, were there
yeah.
any surprises along the way?
Oh, good question. Again, there has been so many years, but I'll try to answer that question. So what happened was I had seen entrepreneurs up close when I was at Ventures, and I also wanted to do it full time because I wanted to kind of get my hands dirty. And Herald Logic people, the founders, met me at that time, and it was a less than 10-person company in IIT Bombay's incubator. This was the first or second batch, I think, and I was the first business guy to join them. So my job was to look after business development, fundraising, and finance and HR processes. It was a technology company, product company. Our technology was a rule-based event engine, and the company was on a learning journey as to which business problem it would make sense to apply this technology. It has a unique algorithm and architecture. I had to unlearn a lot of corporate managerial theory because startups are so small and fast paced, and I had to learn how to tackle the unique challenges of building a product company in India, and that too with no funding. We were bootstrapped. So I'm happy to share that the company is still around and doing very well with fantastic management. It has always been bootstrapped, and it has earned many marquee customers over the past 20 years. They now focus on sales incentive compensation management as a domain using the technology they have. But it's really good technology, and it has been very fulfilling to see that the company grew and this technology has been of good use to Indian customers. But I can tell you that there was a very hard learning phase as to where to apply it because we went to manufacturing, we went to supply chain and several other domains to see where we get applied, and ultimately we had to see the product market fit. That is what the current team has done such a good job in. So yeah, it was again a very interesting experience.
Really, sir, it's always eye-opening to hear what happens behind the scenes of first startups. Sir, has Attagis is known for working with global product companies, has an integrated team.
Yeah.
What have you found to be the key to ensuring your teams feel connected and committed, even when working from afar?
Oh, good question. Right now, so at Attagis, I've done multiple things. Early days, a lot of technology market research, then a lot of consulting as well, including large clients. But last 8 years, we provide software engineering and QA services to global software product companies. Our current customers come from voice telephony and intelligent agent space. These products are very quickly adding a lot of AI capabilities as well. In any such relationship with the client, our team works closely as an integrated part of our client's engineering team. But compared to the mainstream, we do a couple of things differently. So, for example, we strive for our teams to develop a deep appreciation of the client's product and their business goals. So it's no more transactional. We are really together, in that sense. We understand our client's business and why they're trying to take the product in a certain direction. What is the business goals driving that? Secondly, every team member over here is an athlete, not a specialist with only one particular skill or technology. We nurture their learning skills, communication skills, and technology skills to a point where they're extremely reliable contributors in virtually any aspect of the job. For example, in QA, right, our whole team can contribute to UI testing, functional testing, API testing, load testing, automation, and the entire spectrum. So we don't have specialists, just one person focusing on one particular type of test. They all can do it all, basically. And finally, we have a strong focus on work-life balance because we know that if the work is joyful, right, then only the team members will have a focus on learning and kind of keep adding value every day, year over year. So that's how I think we do things a little differently.
It's really great to know how intentional your model is. Trust, alignment, and long-term thinking in a world of quick fixes. That's such a very fresh take on building distributed teams.
Thank you.
So moving on, I want to ask, you've seen the startup ecosystem in both India and as well as US.
Yeah.
Why do you think programs like Y Combinators tend to highlight US startups more, and what lessons can Indian founders learn from that?
Oh, okay. So Y Combinator is originally from US itself. So see, some points are obvious, right? US has a larger and most established ecosystem for startups in the world. They have a much larger technology consumption than anybody else also. So customers are more likely to try out cutting edge products, and hence something like Y Combinator fits so perfectly over there. Indian founders targeting global markets, by all means should target platforms like Y Combinator to grow, as you anyway have to go global. Their market understanding and network is mostly deep rooted in US. I mean Y Combinators, and that will actually help you if you're trying to grow in the US. For ideas that are targeting the Indian market specifically, I think the primarily market research as well as technology development needs to be uniquely tailored to the Indian situation. If you take example of UPI, entirely Indian product, and they knew how Indians, users work with their smartphones. Also, we need better appreciation of the constraints. For example, an angel investing round may happen much faster in US than in India, or the depth and breadth of talent pool to develop your idea may be hard to find in India. Hence, an Indian founder needs more patience, and yet he or she is expected to prove, product market fit or growth in a certain time frame, which makes things challenging. The good thing is, in some accelerators, we have now evolved to a point where we can help the founders navigate through this journey. So a higher level of mutual trust among founders, investors, and accelerators will really help our ecosystem. For example, I'm associated with Padup Ventures in Delhi, which has a very well thought out mentoring program. So I personally think that we are actually very lucky now. I mean, the young entrepreneurs in India are very lucky now. If they want to go global, they have the whole global ecosystem like Y Combinator and others to help them. If they want to stay in India and stay focused on opportunities in the Indian market, we have a lot of well evolved institutional infrastructure to help them.
That's such an insightful breakdown and so relevant to Indian founders today. It's not just about the access of capital, but also mindset, storytelling, and risk appetite. So,
Yeah.
given your strong background in consulting, how have those early experiences influenced the way you run or advise companies today, especially when it comes driving to people processes, digital transformation, and growth?
Oh, okay. So thanks, great question. I mean, my journey has been one of connecting the dots across the landscape, whether startups or large companies. So during my consulting days and observing various types of project consulting firms do, I realized that the value of primary market research, capability development, and focusing on the right talent for the job was what was really important for large companies. So these learnings actually are generic and they've had a lifelong relevance for me. In the startups that I'm working with now, we insist that finding and articulating the right problem is very important before thinking of a solution or a technology. In short, you shouldn't be a solution or a technology looking for a problem. And this won't be possible unless the startup starts meeting potential customers who can give feedback on the real pain points. And I think I made this point earlier as well. Secondly, a data-centric approach is what you need because it allows fact-based decision making for not just the company but also for its various stakeholders. For example, one company I'm advising is Urdhvam. It is a company in borewell recharge technology. I think they appeared on Shark Tank as well. In this company, we're thinking much more than a one-time borewell recharge solution. We are encouraging farmers to measure data of water levels, report that data, forecast the amount of water they will have, and make decisions on cropping based on that data. So, like I said, the solution is not just about putting something on the user's canvas. It is about understanding their whole journey. The clarity for how to achieve growth is much higher in case of a startup than a huge company. The real issue is how to achieve that growth with limited resources and relatively small amounts of capital that gets raised in the early stages. And this is why startups need to go for market segmentation, create an MVP for solving a given narrow problem, and actually registering growth in that segment before thinking of more large scale growth or larger markets. That's at least my opinion.
Great, sir. It's amazing how those early strategy roles laid the groundwork for the way you lead today. So
Mhm.
it really shows how transferable those skills are when applied with purpose. Uh, Moving on, starting out at TCS and later in QA at On Time,
Yeah.
was there a defining moment that shaped how you view both the power and pitfall of technology? And did those early lessons influence your approach to quality and resilience today?
Oh, okay. So there were actually multiple such points. Firstly, when I landed in the US in the early 90s, the sheer availability of hardware, computing hardware to students means there were no constraint to what you could do, what you could program, or there were no constraints on innovation. Whereas in India, that I had left, whether due to lack of local production of hardware, or lack of funds, the availability of hardware was always constrained, especially to students. So I'm glad that that gap has been largely fulfilled now. We have access to a lot of infrastructure now, including cloud, because it's been 20, 30 years now. But still, when it comes to like very large local cloud infrastructure, or let's say hardware to support training of AI models or using AI on large data sets, I think we are still somewhat behind, right? We are not solving here very complex problems that computing power in the West is solving. The second point was that in the late 90s, when the World Wide Web arrived, my US product company that I was part of was very quick in launching its product, which was an enterprise group calendaring product on the web platform. So at that point, I could see firsthand the culture and the talent pool one needs to accelerate product development like this. And that was a big learning that gradually is coming to India, that we need product company culture here to actually build products. uh, we learned the hard way that we can't expect services companies to just build products the way product companies do. They can't transform overnight. You will need to start product companies from scratch. So in India, we're getting there. But we have three constraints. We have some amount of brain drain to other countries due to the attractive opportunities for education and work there. Secondly, a large number of our local tech talent is absorbed, by IT services companies, as because it's considered a safe career, right? And product building itself is a lower volume in India because our technology consumption is lower. Our GDP per capita is lower than richer countries, so our technology consumption inherently is lower. So it's a long and hard journey before we build great product companies. But the progress that has been made, especially in the last 10 years, you have so many consumer companies starting with Zomato, you have an enterprise software company like Zoho, and you have everything in between, which is just amazing things have been created in India, and I think the journey should continue.
Really, sir, those stories from early tech days are fascinating. It's incredible how those foundational lessons on quality and adaptability still carry so much weight even in today's fast moving landscape. Sir, we usually conduct a fun short rapid fire round with our
Oh,
guest in which
okay.
we ask questions and you have to answer them rapidly.
Okay.
So, can we begin this round?
Yes, yes, you can. Yeah.
So, let's go. Your role models, model or
My role
models.
models, see, from the entrepreneurial world, I would say it's Narayan Murthy, because he broke the ground on so many things, right? He was one of the earliest successful entrepreneurs from humble middle class background, and he built a great company, company with great set of values, lot of integrity. They truly are a global company, Infosys, and they were the first to do an IPO for an Indian company in the US. So they really made a mark for themselves, and he took everybody along in the journey, right? Wealth creation as well for the employees. From the non-entrepreneurial world, I would say it is our late President APJ Abdul Kalam, because such a fascinating person to lead our country, in the next, the kind of orbit of growth, especially in space technology, in defense, and so on. He was keen that to defend ourselves, we should develop hard capabilities and be self-reliant, which are really timeless messages. So I'm very impressed by these two people.
Yeah. One guilty pleasure.
Oh, yeah. Well, watching stand-up comedy reels is what I do for relaxing my mind. I'm a fan of all types of humor, from stand-ups to sitcoms and everything else. So yeah, that's what I do when I'm really bored.
Okay, sir. Sir, if you could fund one idea today with unlimited capital, what would it be and why?
Oh, unlimited capital. Okay, so let me think. So, we have such a large population. We call it demographic dividend, right? And I don't think we have had a platform which actually connects our demographic dividend to a great set of opportunities, right? We have job sites, but we have job sites. Everything that we have in that segment is actually largely transactional, and I don't like that. So if I had my way to build or advise, I would build a platform where India's large, skilled as well as unskilled talent pool and labor pool can get not just employment opportunities, but some kind of lifelong mentoring and reskilling and handholding so that they're always employable. And this will also include upcoming sectors in the technology as well as the green economy sector.
Interesting, sir. The way you think. Uh, Moving on, book or podcast that changed your perspective recently.
Oh, okay. So honestly, I'm not that much into podcasting, but I read a lot. So one book that I read in the last 6 months or 1 year is Third Millennium Thinking. I found that book very impressive. That book is written by a physicist, a psychologist, and a philosopher, three people, right? And that book educates us on how to make informed decisions using various scientific, the techniques of the science, what is called as the scientific method, data collection, being objective, using probabilities, forecasting, being optimistic, and so on. So there are wonderful lessons there, which any science, engineering, or literally any other student who is in the first or second year should read that book, and they'll find it very kind of inspiring. Yeah, it's called Third Millennium Thinking.
Oh, sir, we will read. What is the one piece of advice you wish someone gave you in your earlier?
Okay, so like I said, I was a generalist, but perhaps in another parallel universe, I would say somebody had advised me to go really deep into one field when you're young, whether in research or practice, so that you have a lifelong mastery of the discipline. It could be technology, it could be economics, it could be anything. But to go deeper in those first, up to 25, it just in one area actually is helpful because people can going forward look at you as an expert in that, and that kind of builds a snowball of opportunities around you.
Okay, sir. Then, if not running your own company or mentoring startups, what would you be doing today?
So I've been so I've been so passionate about history in general, right, that I think I would be a history professor and researcher. That's what I can say.
Uh,
Interesting.
really, sir, we were expecting different that you are the same, like software engineer and something else. Okay, sir. What is the one mistake young founders or college entrepreneurs make while pitching their ideas?
Oh, okay. So this, like, I've seen a lot of entrepreneurial presentations. So one thing I can say is thinking that your idea is ready, to present to investors and mentors without doing like any primary market research on the problem definition and your end users. I think that's the real no-no. One should get on the street and start meeting your users and customers, and then have those facts to support what you're saying about your idea.
Yeah, very true, sir. Yeah. So that was such a fun ride, sir. Love how every answer still had depth behind it. Will definitely remember the guilty pleasure and the dream idea with unlimited capital.
Okay. Thanks.
And
Thanks.
also the profession you would choose if not running company or mentoring startup.
Okay. Good to know. Even I hadn't thought of much of that till today, but your questions were real fun. So I appreciate that. So anything else?
Uh, yes, actually, we usually ask questions from our listeners. So
Oh,
if
so is there
yeah,
anybody? Let's see. Yeah,
if
if
you
there are questions, I can answer them. Yeah.
yeah, if you allow.
Okay. What can be the? So can I go ahead and answer the questions?
Sir, we will read if you don't mind.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Uh, Sir, what can be the important factor for any investor or startup founder to consider while putting stake in energy and transmission industry?
Oh, that's a deep question, and I'll be honest, I am not in that domain. But well, you're talking about energy and transmission industry. So on one hand, it's an established sector. It's not a dynamically moving sector like software, traditionally, right? Until 10 years ago. But today, you have two things that are dynamic. One is the move to renewable energy, and second is more digital transformation and possibly more AI as well. So when you are building something, you got to remember what your idea and business model is going to be in the face of factors like this. Uh, that's all I can say. Investors will definitely evaluate how much capex you're going to need for energy and transmission solution, what you're going to do with the infrastructure that you develop, who are your customers, how is the competition, more importantly. So there are so many factors. I think competition would be there really entrenched in that sector as well. And finally, the regulatory part, regulation can move slow, slower than your expectation. So dealing with all that will need experts. I mean, you can't do it alone. You will need advisors and mentors from those industries, possibly seasoned people with a lot of experience in the energy and transmission, and keep bouncing off the idea to them and build it with feedback from multiple stakeholders. I mean, including investors. You can take it to investors and ask for their feedback. Not necessary to assume in the first meeting that they're going to invest in your company. The meeting is just to get feedback, and they will honor your request. So you can just go for that as well. And that is how, in a 3 to 6 month period, I think you can actually zero in on what we're going to do actually. So it will take time.
Any next question? So, what is the next question is asked by Pragati. She's asking, what is the future of the product management sector, and how can young audiences learn more about it since there are very few resources about it?
Okay. Well, product managers will exist if products exist, right? So there you need to know that the demand for product managers will be less than the demand for engineers in general, because you need many engineers to build a product, but you may need maybe one or two product managers. So if you see the country moving towards more product building, yes, we're going to need product managers. Uh, Product managers come from a variety of sources. A lot of technical people eventually evolve once they're senior enough to actually become product managers, and they become very good product managers. People from marketing background obviously can become product managers. So when you choose to become a product manager, there is some competition as well. So remember that it's fairly competitive in the job market, even for product management. So one will, like she has asked, one will have to build a strategy actually to get an opening as a product manager and actually really do well. I would just venture that you have two paths. One, to become an engineer, know the technology deeply, know your product's architecture, and eventually show your interest that I want to be a good product manager as well. Take the classes on the side. If there is no actual course that we have, then look for YouTube and other courses for becoming a product manager. Second important thing is go to LinkedIn and start actually talking to product managers. Your friends and their friends' friends, like LinkedIn, allows you to connect with people. Actually interview them for 15 minutes and say, what do you do on a daily basis? How much, what amount of Excel modeling do you do? How much time do you spend playing with the features of the product? How much time do you spend talking to customers? How much firefighting do you do? How much interaction do you have with senior management? So many questions you can ask them, right? So yeah, it has a great future, especially as we move to a product centric economy, and the role of customization and services becomes less and less. There is the future is more products and platforms. So I appreciate the interest, but one has to evolve a strategy to get there, and these are the some things you could use.
Hope that cures your
Now, our
query.
next question
Next.
is asked by Aryan. Yeah.
Okay, so
Uh,
this is a
how
classic
can a
question.
college
Yeah,
student or startup owner?
yeah,
Okay, sir. Continue.
yeah. Approach the right investor for an early
How can a
investment.
college student or
Yeah.
yeah? So, what should we look for?
Okay, so I can understand that there may be some lack of confidence when you don't have experience, and one has to deal with that. So, how can I quickly, advise on this? See, if you have tons of confidence, then go for it. Then don't pull yourself back saying that okay, I don't have enough experience. Just let your passion drive yourself, and then start meeting investors. However, keep in mind what I said earlier, that just presenting an idea is no use. You must have spent the right effort in evaluating the market opportunity, the problem that you're solving, interviewing your customers, and so on, right? Unless you can show that research that you have done, unless you can actually show some figment or some prototype of what your product is going to be, how do you expect an investor, even an angel investor, to actually appreciate your story? Okay. If you're building an idea, for example, that came out of your pain, you experience some friction in a business process or in some e-commerce, and you observe that the same thing exists for a lot of people, then you can build a story around that and communicate that story. So there are these routes that are available to you even as a college, graduate, and they can make up for your lack of experience. Uh, but if you lack confidence itself, like you are really 50-50, you don't know if startup is what you want to do, then I would say play it safe and get some experience first. Really try to know yourself more. What kind of, what drives me, and where will I perform better in a large corporate environment or in a mid-sized company or a product company or services company? Where will I fit in? What do I enjoy more? Go through that 4 or 5 years experience, and then again have a point of reflection, where you will say, okay, I was doing all this to reflect on this one day whether I should be an entrepreneur or not, and now that day has come, and now let me decide once and for all whether I'm doing the startup or not. So there are two ways depending on one's confidence level.
Very well said, sir. Like confidence is the key to most of the things we do. Right. So moving on to next question. So how to deal with the challenges faced during the initial stages of any startup?
There will be multiple challenges. You have to really keep your eyes on the ball, and it all depends on the nature of the challenge. Like suppose somebody's family is not supportive, then you need to be articulate and actually draw up a roadmap to them that this is what startup building is. This is why I'm making a sacrifice from my corporate career, and this is my dream. And you have to be able to learn to communicate that even to the family, right? That is one type of challenge. Secondly, getting co-founders and employees you need to have enough cash in the bank, some kind of 6 month to 9 month runway, that as we call it, to actually support the ongoing expenses of your company. I always advise startup entrepreneurs to have a 6 to 9 month runway. So with no revenue, how long will your company survive? What kind of expenses are you running? So one has to be frugal as well, if you don't have a lot of cash in the bank. Uh, Thirdly, the product building itself can go wrong. As you know, the product market fit may not deliver, and one has to go back to the drawing board. It's not easy. One has to pivot, right, and find a new solution that actually solves the customer problem. A valuable time is wasted in that. That is why we're advising that you do the customer understanding first, before actually investing a lot in solution building and hiring a lot of engineers and actually developing the technology. So one has to be systematic, one has to be conservative on the financial front, and that makes the ride a little smoother. One has to learn from every mistake basically, and not lose your confidence, not lose why you are doing this. And you need to be able to communicate that every day to employees, investors, and customers, and so forth. So communication skills are very important. All the good startup founders that I've seen, enormous, fantastic communication skills.
Certainly, sir. Now, next question is, what qualities do you look for when hiring for your team?
Oh, okay. So I will answer this in like two ways. Maybe one is a real thing, which is like I hire QA engineers and software engineers. We're looking for when we do that. Obviously, it is the kind of technical skills that the client needs. Number one. Secondly, how well the person communicates, especially in writing, because when you're dealing with offshore clients, not every day you're going to be able to interact with them in person, right? So a lot of writing through email and Slack has to happen. So how good is their written and verbal communication skill? How open are they for learning complex products, because products are getting multifaceted and very complex. So how do they deal with complexity? What is the attention to detail? Secondly, collaborative nature. Can they collaborate with other colleagues, and are they really a good team member? Those sort of things. Secondly, I'll just take a hypothetical thing and I'll say, let's say I'm building a startup tomorrow, product startup, and co-founders, right? I'm hiring co-founders. So this is just to help answer, Swastika's question a little better, right? I'm not in that situation, but I'll still try to answer that. So co-founders, you would want to see complementary qualities. So if you are a technology person, then you look for people who have a little more business orientation, a sales and marketing orientation, somebody who maybe had a family business, or somebody who has an MBA or something. If you are a marketing finance kind of person who got like marketing very much under your control, you got great communication skills, but you need a strong hand to develop technology, then you could be looking for such co-founders. So complementary communication skills is one. Secondly, ability to collaborate in the face of a lot of adversity, and not let each other's egos come in between, and be humble and do decisions based on facts. That quality is very important for co-founders. That we are in this together. Sometimes the facts are in your side, sometimes the facts are on my side. We will let the facts drive our decisions, not our biases. So that is how you look for co-founders, and they should be willing to be with you at least for say 4 or 5 years. Otherwise, if too short, it doesn't work out. So at least 3 to 4 years, I would say. Yeah.
Interesting to know about the qualities of our co-founder or people we might hire. Next question is from Pragati. She's asking, how can the early startups reduce customer acquisition costs?
Uh, Very hard to answer because there are so many types of startups out there, right? It's not, there is no simple formula that fits all of them. I would say that think of what I said earlier, which is you go after a narrow segment, which is your immediately serviceable, addressable market. You let's say you build a solution for lawyers, right? Are you going to start selling that solution from tomorrow to all lawyers in India? No, I mean you can't possibly do that. You have to be able to meet your customer actually to collect feedback. So you can zero in on, say, various segments: lawyers who work on the civil cases, lawyers who work on the criminal cases, or corporate lawyers, what have you. You can say, what am I building not just for all lawyers but for a segment? And then within that segment, you could say, I'm in Mumbai. So can I start with lawyers in Mumbai just now? Can I actually go meet them and understand how they work, and where will my solution fit for a lawyer, for a civil court case lawyer in Mumbai? And you could narrow it down that much. So when you do that, right, when it actually clicks, when your product market fit actually happens for that narrow segment, then I would reckon that your customer acquisition cost will actually be lower than what it otherwise would have been, because if you're solving the pain point genuinely, then the customers will start recommending to each other, and you will see the effect. What we in the digital arena we call it the viral effect, but it has been there forever, which is, we call it word of mouth in the older days, right? So customers will talk to each other, they will give testimonials, and that is how you will be popular or you will be successful in that narrow segment first, and then you gradually expand. That is the strategy I would recommend, because when you are in narrower segments, your customer acquisition cost clarity is also higher. Okay, the formula that you're going to develop in Excel or whatever your marketing costs, you actually see the impact of the marketing cost will be there for you to see immediately, because you are actually in that market, you're physically present, and you will see what is working, what is not working, and you can actually uh, allocate the costs to the right vehicle, so to speak. And once you prove the whole model in that narrow segment, then you again start expanding gradually. That's how I think is the right way to do.
Okay, sir. So now we are going to end our Q&A session here.
Okay.
I would like to thank you so much, sir, for your time today, for joining us today. Your journey and honest insights truly made our conversation special, and we feel very lucky to have had you on the show. Your willingness to share your reflections and ideas have truly illuminated our discussion. From tech consulting to startups, and from sabbaticals in nature to startup mentoring, you have shown us how diverse experience can fuel meaningful leadership.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Really,
Anisha,
sir,
for having me. Yeah.
what a beautiful way to sum up a 25 years of journey, full of learning, skills, reinventions, and heart. That perspective is something we will carry with us. We are immensely grateful for the time and passion you brought into our space. Your words today have truly inspired us, and I'm sure our listeners too. Thank you once again, sir, for joining us today and for sharing your wisdom with open heart.
Okay. I appreciate you having
Thank
me,
you, sir.
and I really enjoyed it. And good luck to you all.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Okay. Bye. Okay.